This Sunday is sometimes called Good Shepherd Sunday. And my guess is that if I asked you to say, after a quick glance at the readings, who Jesus was claiming to be in them, you would say the Good Shepherd. The sheep certainly represent people, and in the very next verse, after the end of this morning's Gospel, Jesus actually calls himself the Good Shepherd. I'm sure this was why the church named this fourth Sunday of Easter Good Shepherd Sunday, and used it to encourage people wondering about a vocation to include church ministry amongst their options. But if you look again at today's Gospel, you'd see that in the first 10 verses, this isn't what Jesus said. When he sees the disciples don't get what he's trying to teach them, Jesus tells them not once, but twice, that he isn't the shepherd in this particular bit. He's the gate. The gate, as we all know in this time of lockdown, is a means of keeping people, like sheep, safely inside. It's also a means of getting out. The Jewish nation of Jesus' time had for centuries been in a state of cultural lockdown, remembering ancient victories, celebrating their uniqueness as the people of God. As the French politician Talleyrand said in another context at the time of Napoleon, they had learned nothing and forgotten nothing. What Jesus was trying to explain to the disciples was how to handle this means of getting out in the best possible way. Just as people all over the world are considering how to do this right now, practically speaking. Humanity is creative, inquisitive, and sociable. So being confined in a small space will seem hard. Well, it does for me, and I have to confess to a bit of anger and impatience here and there. There's so much else to do and learn, places to see, people to meet. Jesus wasn't someone who wanted his people to be protected, confined, and safe. In fact, he was encouraging the opposite. Broader horizons, risky living. But there are ways and ways of going about this. Risky living can appear to be liberating while prolonging our cultural imprisonment. Advertisers make a lot of money out of just this. Risky living can mean speculation with investments, or spending a lot of money in paddy power. You don't even need to go out to do this. There's legislation being talked about to stop people overdoing online betting at home. Physical danger can be found at the end of a bungee rope, or on a battlefield, or a rowdy night out in Kingston. The gate Jesus is encouraging his disciples to pass through in order to experience life in all its fullness is one that calls them to be led by his example of kindness, love, and self-sacrifice. As Peter was encouraging new disciples to do in our second reading, and as the apostles were attempting to do in our reading from Acts. As we think about how society will be after our own lockdown is ended, maybe the hope we've talked so much about over the last month or so could be a Christian hope, that we can come out of our lockdown as a different community. Life after lockdown isn't just, or needn't just be, a wild party followed by picking up the threads of how we used to live. It could be something new. It's very hard for people to get this and make a radical life change. After all, say most of us This wasn't our fault in the first place, if it was actually anybody's fault. Why should we change? That's exactly what the Jews of Jesus' time were saying, aided and abetted by their religious leaders. Jesus describes his disciples as sheep in this morning's Gospel. That's not hugely complimentary or challenging. But the picture we get of the apostles in Acts is amazing. Whether we take the description of this apparently perfect community with a pinch of salt or not, the fact is that somehow or other it has lasted. Led by their good shepherd, the apostles went out of the gate into the world, inspired to be something more than they had been through their confidence in Christ. And to follow them isn't just for the saintly, the high achievers with amazing dedication and self-control. We are an amazing society. Look at the random acts of kindness, the unlikely heroes and heroines of coronavirus. If we make some much-needed prayerful space away from the constant flow of news and political speak that invades our lives day after day, and come before God as we are, with our anxieties about how things will go on, our hurts and sadness over friends, partners and relatives lost, and our disappointments over opportunities missed, 18th birthday parties, celebrations at the end of exams, holidays not taken, less life left to us. If we just bring this lot to God in prayer, in the words of that rather old-fashioned hymn, What a Friend We Have in Jesus, written in 1855 by a man called Scriven, living in Canada to comfort his mother, whom he couldn't visit back home in Ireland, we stand to develop a sacred connection and learn that God is a gracious friend, demanding nothing from us in the way of achievement or merit, but promising the excitement and challenge of life in all its fullness, a new life, not bound by what has kept us penned up, physically and culturally, but opening up vast horizons and opportunities to give and to care and to love.